You're thinking about passing 2 days in Florence? This is simply an excellent idea. In 2 days, you will have enough time to visit the most important museums in the town, like the Uffizi Gallery and the Accademia Gallery. You will fall in love with the medieval center of the city, and you will have a chance to also learn more about the complex of the cathedral and the most important basilicas, Santa Maria Novella and Santa Croce. And after 2 days in town, you will definitely decide to come back to the city again. This is a ready itinerary for a 2-day stay in Florence. The easiest way how to arrive to Florence is by train. The main train station, Firenze Santa Maria Novella, is located in the heart of the city. If you arrive to Florence by car, make sure that you have actually a possibility to park it on the parking of your hotel. After check-in, and in your hotel, you can leave your luggage and start exploring the center. The best way where to start is Piazza Santa Maria Novella. Here you will find this magnificent Dominican basilica built during the 13th century. Inside you can find many masterpieces of Renaissance and medieval art. The painted crucifix by Giotto, the Tornabuoni chapel frescoed by Domenico Ghirlandaio, and the famous Trinity by Masaccio. After the visit to the church, you will pass through the cloister of the convent, where you will see the so-called Cappellone degli Spagnoli and the museum. Inside of the museum are displayed the frescoes by Paolo Uccello, representing the scenes from the Genesis that were hardly damaged during the last flood of 1966. The monument that concluded the construction of the church is the magnificent facade that you can see also from the outside. The work made in the mid-15th century by Leon Battista Alberti. This is one of the first Renaissance facades designed in the European architecture, with Alberti using some elements from the classical architecture in his projects again. From here, you can start exploring Florence. After your visit at Santa Maria Novella, you can start your walk in the historical center of the city. From Piazza Santa Maria Novella, you can start walking towards Palazzo Strozzi, and then from Piazza della Repubblica, you will get to Piazza Duomo. In Piazza Duomo, you will find the most important sacred monuments for the Florentine identity: the baptistry dedicated to St. John the Baptist, the cathedral, and the bell tower. From Piazza Duomo, with Via dello Studio and Via Santa Margherita, you will arrive to the neighborhood where the famous Florentine poet Dante Alighieri grew up. Here you will also see the Torre della Castagna, a medieval tower where the priors ruling Florence in the Middle Ages used to gather to vote. From here, with Via Dante Alighieri, you will reach Or San Michele, Piazza della Signoria, Piazzale degli Uffizi, and Ponte Vecchio. In the afternoon, you can visit the most important museum in town, the Galleria degli Uffizi, the Uffizi Gallery. The magnificent building that today hosts the museum was built in the mid-16th century to gather inside the administration of a newly born state, the Duchy of Tuscany. Already the Medici family ruling Florence started to gather inside their artistic collections, but during their rule, the access to the Uffizi was restricted to very few. The museum opened to the public only when the power in Florence passed in the hands of the Habsburg's Lorraine dynasty. Inside the gallery, you will see many masterpieces of medieval and Renaissance painting. Maestà by Giotto, masterpieces by Botticelli, The Birth of Venus and His Spring, the Tondo Doni by Michelangelo, paintings by Raphael, the Head of Medusa by Caravaggio, and the Venus of Urbino by Titian. A full visit to the second and the first floor will take you about 3 hours. If you don't want to spend so much time inside, you can focus only on the second floor that you visit as soon as you enter to the gallery. The visit to the second floor takes about an hour and a half. Remember that the tickets to the Uffizi Gallery in high season are very often sold out, so book your ticket in advance before you actually arrive to Italy. After your visit at the Uffizi Gallery, you can go for a walk to reach the Piazzale Michelangelo, a panoramic terrace overlooking the center, and there you will be able to take magnificent pictures of Florence. And on the way down, you will pass through San Nicolo neighbourhood, where you will find many restaurants and bars for your aperitivo or your dinner. In the morning, my advice is that you start your day early so you can appreciate Florence without the crowds and without too many people around. After your breakfast and the checkout, you can go directly to the Galleria dell'Accademia to see the original statue of David sculpted by Michelangelo. This incredible work was done by the author in only 3 years, between 1501 and 1504. And when Michelangelo revealed the statue to the public, the Florentine people remained simply speechless. In the political context of 1504, when Florence was trying to keep its independence, fighting with the Medici family and with the powerful European states, the allegory of weak David winning against the powerful Goliath became the allegory of this political struggle. And this is why it was decided that the statue of David would be placed in Piazza della Signoria in front of the head of the Florentine government. The statue stood there for more than 300 years. In 1872, it was already clear that this masterpiece, exposed to the elements, has to be protected, and the statue was moved to the Galleria dell'Accademia, where you can still admire it today. Michelangelo's David is definitely the most important artwork from the Galleria dell'Accademia's collection, but it's not the only work worth your attention during your visit. Inside the gallery, you can also admire Michelangelo's presence, his unfinished works designed probably for the tomb of the Pope Julius II. Inside, you can also see the model for Giambologna's Rape of the Sabine Women and the so-called Cassone Adimari, painted by Giovanni di Ser Giovanni, called Scheggia. Inside the museum, you will also see a collection of historical musical instruments. Important thing for you to remember is that you have to pre-book your ticket in advance. The Accademia Gallery is a small museum and it hosts one of the most important artworks in the world. This is why the tickets to the gallery in the high season are sold out 2 or even 3 weeks in advance. If you want to visit Florence between April and October, book your tickets with a long advance. After the visit at the Galleria dell'Accademia, you can dedicate your morning to the discovery of the cathedral complex. In Piazza Duomo, you will find the religious monuments most important for the Florentine identity. The baptistry, dedicated to Saint John the Baptist, which is probably the most ancient building in Florence. Inside, its dome is completely covered with splendid mosaics. After the visit to the baptistry, you can enter inside the cathedral, Santa Maria del Fiore. And also here, inside of Brunelleschi's dome, you will find the splendid 16th century frescoes. You can also go down to the archaeological site to discover the excavations of the ancient church dedicated to Santa Reparata. You can climb to the top of Giotto's bell tower and end your visit inside of the Cathedral Museum. The collection of the Cathedral Museum hosts the originals of artworks that once used to decorate the sacred monuments of the town. Here you will find the originals of the bronze doors from the baptistry and the silver altar dedicated to St. John the Baptist, which also used to stand inside of this building. The collection includes Michelangelo's Bandini Pietà and Donatello's Mary Magdalene, as well as the originals of the sculptural decoration taken down from the bell tower. In the afternoon, if you don't have to leave Florence too soon, you will still have time to visit Santa Croce. This important Franciscan basilica was built here starting in 1299, and today it hosts some of the most important masterpieces of medieval painting. Here, at the beginning of the 14th century, worked Giotto, decorating with the frescoes the chapels for the Bardi and the Peruzzi family. His pupil, Taddeo Gaddi, left inside the Life of the Virgin in the Baroncelli chapel and the Last Supper in the refectory of the friars. For long centuries, Santa Croce used to host the tombs of the famous Florentine people. Here you will find the tomb of Lorenzo Ghiberti, the author of the splendid bronze doors for the Florentine baptistry. Here is buried Michelangelo Buonarroti and Galileo Galilei. During the 19th century, Santa Croce became an important place for the construction of the Italian national identity. It happened thanks to the poem Dei Sepolcri, written by Ugo Foscolo, who imagined a walk through Santa Croce, virtually talking to the famous Italians. Santa Croce has been heavily damaged during the last flood happened in Florence in 1966. In the sacristy you can find a crucifix by Cimabue, which unfortunately is heavily damaged because of the flood. This is an itinerary for your 2 days in Florence. If you want, we can also organize some guided tours inside of the Florentine museums. We can visit together the Uffizi Gallery, learn more about Michelangelo's David, or cross the streets of the historical center. Just drop me a line so we can start planning your stay.